Hello, this is Paul again, and this is a follow-up to the video I made yesterday about my Blazar 1.5 anamorphic adapter and my 15mm rod setup. I altered the setup a little bit. I got rid of the adjustable lens rest, and now I'm just using an inverted 15mm rod adapter. I think this is a nice rig one. I'll put a link in the description. I'm not sure. I'll have to go look that up on my Amazon account. But there's one, there's another one. So this one's turned with the flat side up. And then I have the cold shoe adapter with the two nuts on it. And this one tightens it to the cold shoe, and this one tightens it to the rod adapter, and I have put Loctite on it to keep it from backing off. And so we have some aluminum rods, and then there's another one of these nice rig 15mm rod adapters. Then I have a screw, a 1/4-20 screw. I went and drilled out the center screw position. These things are like $7, so it's like no big deal. So I drilled it out so that the screw would go all the way through it, and then I have that threaded directly into the foot adapter that came with the lens adapter, the anamorphic adapter. And that's a much simpler, I like to keep things as simple as I possibly can. So this is the simpler way to go about it. And it lines up, everything lines up pretty good. I'm gonna rotate the camera around a little bit so you can see this side. You can see that this is a Snyder lens. I had somebody ask me about that. He thought it was a body cap. Now these lenses are just so small. Part of the lens sits inside the body of the camera. And so the lens elements are right about here. And this is all just, you know, operating hardware that turns the elements inside and adjusts the aperture and all that. And so what I did on the Blazar is it came with a, I think it's a 55-42, something like that, lens ring, and I put that on there, and that's not threaded to the lens, it's just centering it. So the little part that protrudes, the threaded part that protrudes, I just have it setting into the front of the lens but not threaded into the lens, and that will keep it a little more steady. And since the lens, this is the lens, this is what you would pull focus with, this part right here. And so you set this to infinity and don't touch it again. You set that to infinity, but you can change your aperture. Obviously, you're gonna have to need the ability to change your aperture depending on the lighting conditions. So this is all pretty solid now. I eliminated the piece sticking up here and the adjustability and the possibility of it falling out of position or something like that. So the less is more in this situation, the less parts you can get away with, the better. So here's two more Snyder lenses. I'll take the cap off for people who are curious. This is what the Snyder lenses look like with the cap off. This one's not coming off, so I'll just leave it like that. I have to move this forward to get that off. It's stuck. But here's one of my Snyders. That's the 50. And this is the, I think that's a 25 or the 30. That's a 35 according to the label right here. It's a 35. So the 25 is what's in line with the Blazar right now, the Remus adapter. I'll throw that back on for the time being. The aperture on these lenses is very nice in that you can turn a switch and it can be either clicky or completely click free. So you can throw that little switch and there it's clicking, and you reach in there and turn this thing off, and now it's declicked, completely declicked. Another nice thing about these lenses is they stop all the way down to fully closed. So if you forget your lens cap, you can stop these down to fully closed, or if you don't want to even run lens caps, you can stop them down to fully closed, and you don't have to worry about light scattering inside the turret, you know, and messing up your film with light reflections internally. I would still keep the caps on if you have them available though. That's just the way I would do it. And so this is the 3-lens turret, so you can turn the whole thing by, you know, pushing up on these levers and rotating to the lens you want to use. This is my newer version of the ARRI 16S. Again, this does not have the bayonet mount. It's only the standard mount lenses can mount on this one. It has a little paint chip. I touched that up a little bit. I'll do a better job at another time. But this one has the newer style eye cup. And so this eye cup assembly is removable with this knurled ring right here. And you can pull it off, and then you can put a swivel type, dog leg style attachment here. And then you put this back on the top of that, and it can swivel around and put it in different positions if you like to do that kind of thing. For most shooting, I just find this is just fine for me. If I have mags on there, I would probably put it on. So here's the best part of this. Here's the really nice Jensen 24 frame per second crystal sync motor. These are kind of rare. I actually have two of these, and one of them was completely rusted and defective when I got it, and it'll start for about a second and then it doesn't get its sync, so then it just turns itself off. And I haven't really been able to get in there to mess with it. I'm not a electrician by trade, but I do some repairs on, when it's an easy thing that I can take care of myself. So this Jensen motor will drive this camera only at 24 frames a second. So if you want to go with a different speed, you have to remove this and put one of the other motors on. This is a power plug that I made myself. I'm going to try and do this without knocking my camera over. Well, let me try. There we go. So this is a power plug. I 3D printed this and designed it, and it's modular. You can unscrew the screws and then take it apart. This one's super glued. They're so cheap to make that really no need to take it apart. The only thing the screws are in there is to hold it together while the glue dried. And super glued it closed. And then I used two radio controlled car. They're basically the inside part of a bullet connector. And so I put two of those in there and soldered wires to it. And then it goes to a 5.5 millimeter barrel connector. So I have a an ARRI style 8 volt. Actually, this is an 8 volt system, and this runs off of 8 volts, and I believe it will also run off of 12 volts, but then the mags run off of 8 volts, so I don't know what to do about that. But the nice thing about this motor is you can still use the button here, because it uses the power from the camera to run the motor. And so you just push the button down as normal, and then the motor starts. The whole thing is very loud. If I was in this room and ran it, you would definitely hear the camera the whole time it was running. And so it would be better off for like shooting something like a music video, or maybe dubbing the audio back in later. There's a lot of really good tools these days for reducing and removing noise. Even built into DaVinci Resolve, there's a tool called Isolate Voice, and you can move the slider over until most of that noise is gone, and then you would want to put some background back in there without the camera noise. So you'd record it with the camera off. You could record some background noise and then mix it back over the vocals to get it a more natural sound, because once you isolate the audio, all the room noise goes away and it's not going to sound very natural. Anyway, depending on what your project is and maybe what you want, who knows. Anyway, I really like this camera. This is my first ARRI. When I bought it, I put power on it and it ran for about 20 seconds, 25 seconds, and then it just stopped. And then the rubber coupling where the motor is started I could smell it. It was heating up, so I quickly switched it off and realized that this camera was completely locked up. Like I said, it just barely ran for a few seconds and then stopped running. And so I did a DIY about 80% overhaul myself. Since I don't have any special tools, I disassembled the whole camera, took the internals out, and I left the shutter claw assembly and the front and the gate and all that as an assembly. That the turret comes off, and then you can take all that out from the front. And then I left that intact, but I re-greased it the best I could, and I cleaned everything, ultrasonic cleaned everything interior wise, and re-oiled it and re-lubricated it, and now it runs perfectly. It may need a full overhaul, but I didn't want to send it off and to get it overhauled and then have them tell me, well, your camera is not, you're going to need a lot of parts and this and that. So I really wanted to just make sure it ran before I did anything like that. But I've been running it for over a year now, and it's been running flawlessly for me. So in the future, I will consider sending it off. It's not that expensive to get it overhauled. I believe it's in the $500-600 range. So maybe in the future. Anyway, I got this camera I got off of eBay, and I got a really good deal on it because the guy had no information about what it was. It came out of a university science department or something like that, and it had this weird solid thick housing around it, and you couldn't even see the camera except for like a few of the parts that would stick out of the top of it. You couldn't even see the camera in the cellar, and so I took a big chance on it, and I was not disappointed. I figured it had this 35mm Snyder lens with it, and I figured that lens by itself is worth $350, so I paid less than that for the whole camera with the lens. So I figured worst case scenario, I could sell the camera for parts and keep this lens. But it turns out that the camera is really in very nice condition since it sat in that housing the whole time, probably just in an operating theater or someplace like that, or doing some type of scientific, before video cameras came out, they used these for scientific research and things like that, and news gathering. But this one was more for scientific research. Anyway, I'm very happy with this camera. The pin registration, the film I've shot with it has come out perfectly so far. So I'm looking forward to shooting this. The weather here in Houston's still been, I had quite a few people asking me, when are you going to shoot some film? Well, I just made that video an hour before I posted it, so give me a couple days. I hope to shoot some by this weekend, and I can't wait to post it and show it to everybody, so I will get that out as soon as I possibly can. So here's a step back shot one more time, and thanks for watching. And if you like this video, or have a look at some of my other videos, and consider subscribing if you like any of my my content, and you won't be disappointed because I post quite a few films that I make and camera projects that I'm working on. And I'll give you a little hint, I made my own sync motor, and I'll do another video on that. But this one's over, and thank you for watching.